I chose this topic because of a pattern in my real life. In both job applications and scholarship selections, I passed the administrative stage more than once. On paper, I met the requirements. My documents were accepted. My background was considered relevant. And then I failed. Not randomly, not occasionally, but consistently. At the same point. The psychological test, the scholastic test. That repetition forced me to reflect, not out of anger, not out of resentment, but out of curiosity. Because something didn't add up. There are some people who don't function perfectly well in life. They improvise, they adapt, they overcome. Some days are fine, some days are not. But something very specific keeps happening to them. When institutions try to measure them through psychological or scholastic tests, their brains stop cooperating. They study, they practice, they try to understand the logic, and they still fail. Not because they're slow, not because they're weak, not because they're unintelligent. Some of them start to think they're insane. They wonder if something is wrong with their psyche, if they're abnormal, psychosocial. If their minds already struggle in life and completely collapse the moment an institution tries to measure them. I know this because I'm one of them. I don't claim to be perfectly functional. I never have. But I learned something important. The psychological and scholastic tests are not designed to measure intelligence. They're designed to measure standardization. They don't ask, how deeply can you think? They ask, how similarly do you think to the type of person we want? They reward speed, rule following, pattern recognition without context. They reward people who can suspend questioning and simply execute. Some people don't think that way. They need context before they move, meaning before they act. They hesitate when something feels too clean, too mechanical, not because they're confused, but because they're integrating, which makes them inconvenient. They're not easily measurable. They don't perform well under artificial pressure. For abstract problems that only exist inside a test room. So when system builds on efficiency and predictability, try to filter people, these minds becomes difficult. Not unqualified, just hard to sort. Large institutions need people who can be compared quickly, rank easily, process smoothly, so they build filters. Not to find the most thoughtful minds, but to find the most compatible ones. And when someone fails those filters, the system doesn't explain. It just labels, not qualified, did not meet the standard. So people stop questioning their tasks and start questioning their sanity. But sometimes they're not broken, they're just incompatible with a machine that was never designed to understand how they think. I don't feel angry about this anymore. There's a quiet relief in realizing that this isn't a failure of intelligence. It's a failure of standardization. And for some of us, imperfect, uneven, still figuring life out, being hard to standardize is simply part of how our minds work.